Welcome into Steelers Talk. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about Broderick Jones replacement options for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think it's well known that Broderick has really struggled at right tackle this year. But the thing is, it can be tough to find replacements at this particular position close to the deadline. So we'll be breaking down the best options available and whether or not the Steelers should actually pull this trigger on somebody they spent a first-round pick on just 2 seasons ago. But before we get into the content here, no matter what the Steelers decide to do, no matter what news they break here over the next week or so, I'm going to be covering it, and I'm going to be giving my instant reaction on my X account before I hop on YouTube here. So if you guys want my instant reaction to all the big reports and all the big news stories that come out on the Black and Gold, you guys can find me at Jack_Sperry. And then we also have a brand new IG account for the Steelers Talk channel here. So if you want more kind of short form, informative kind of shorts on Instagram, that's where we put all of our short form stuff. You guys can find us there at Steelers CS. Okay, now let's talk about Broderick Jones and why are we even having this discussion, right? Because if you would have told me at the end of the NFL draft this year that, after drafting literally 2 offensive tackles in the first round in a row, they would be having a discussion about replacing one of those offensive tackles in Broderick Jones, I'd be like, there's no way. I thought Broderick was going to come in here and really play well. It would be his second year. He would be more accustomed to playing at right tackle. But if anything, he has become worse, and he has become the biggest liability on not just the Steelers' offensive line, on the Steelers' offense in general. Okay, and if you think that's an exaggeration, let's take a look at his 2024 stats here. He's given up 21 pressures in 8 games, 7 sacks in 8 games, nearly giving up a sack per game. He has 6 penalties, many of which brought back huge plays for the Steelers offense this year. And then the grade of 46.6 is one of the worst in the National Football League. And speaking of those terrible grades, let's take a look at Broderick Jones's Pro Football Focus grades this year. And listen, PFF grades aren't everything, but, if you're grading this low, the film is definitely telling you something, okay? 46.6 overall grade. That's 73rd out of 76 eligible offensive tackles. The pass block grade, even worse, at 40.7. That's 68th out of 73. Then the run block grade is 60th out of 72 with a 55.4. That's really what he's supposed to be. He's supposed to be a mauling run blocker. A 55.4 run block grade just really isn't that. But Jack, he's a left tackle. He's playing out of position. If you just move him over, he's magically going to get better, and he's magically going to look like a first-round draft pick. Well, here's the thing, man. I just think that when you look at Broderick's film, okay, a lot of the issues that he has, okay, he's a one-hand puncher. He's a lunger. He has terrible balance and footwork. Those were the issues that he had at left tackle at Georgia when he was coming into the league. All right, and did the Steelers screw up his development by trying to develop him on both sides instead of trying to really hone in his abilities on the left side? Absolutely. I think that the Steelers did Broderick Jones no favors in terms of his development. But if they move him over to left tackle this offseason or whatever the case may be, I just don't think that the one-hand punching, the lunging, the terrible footwork and balance is magically going to be fixed, because those things weren't fixed when he was playing left tackle at Georgia. So I think that these things are just ingrained into his game at this point, and I think at this point I'm starting to think he's just not a good player. Now, the thing that you have to keep in mind is that if you give up on Broderick Jones for this season, I think you're giving up on him in the long run, because it does sound like the Steelers want Troy Fautanu to be the long-term starting right tackle of this team. And if you're moving on from Broderick on the right side, I just don't think you can possibly go into the 2025 campaign with the plan to start Broderick Jones at left tackle and protect whoever's going to be quarterbacking this team's blind side when he's looked this bad to start his NFL career. So what say you guys? Let me know down there in the comments section. Should the Pittsburgh Steelers try to replace Broderick Jones at right tackle before the deadline? Simply give me a yes or no down there in the comment section for today's pinned comment. Give me a yes or a no. The pinned comment's going to be right at the top of the comment section. So whenever YouTube throws you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds, simply give me a yes or a no. So now I want to go over some kind of players that have been thrown out there on Steelers Twitter that as potential options that I just think are probably less likely at this point in time. We'll start here with Jack Conklin of the Browns. Conklin might actually be the best overall tackle that that could be got at the trade deadline this year, but the Browns are not going to help out the Steelers. Plain and simply, they're not going to give Conklin to their number one division rival. It's just not going to happen, in my opinion. Then David Bakhtiari and Donovan Smith are a couple free agent options that have been thrown out there, but Bakhtiari and Smith have taken every single snap of their NFL careers on the left side, and the Steelers would be looking for a right tackle. And first of all, I think Bakhtiari, as old as he is, he's not even going to think about playing on the right side. And then Donovan Smith would be, I think, severely uncomfortable playing on that side after so many years playing on the left. So I just don't think these three options are ones that the Steelers are going to consider. And coming up here on Steelers Talk, the top Broderick Jones replacements. I got 5 names that could realistically be got before the NFL trade deadline this year that the Steelers could consider if they want to move off of Broderick Jones. But before we get into those, let's have a word from our sponsor here at Game Time, which is the fastest and easiest way to buy tickets for the sports, music, comedy, and theater in your area. And guys, if you want to see more Steelers games this year at Acrisure Stadium, we've actually had a number of people that watch Steelers Talk reach out to me and say, hey, I use Game Time to get my tickets, and they were absolutely fantastic. Thank you for pointing them out to us. And guys, Game Time Picks is a brand new feature on the Game Time app that filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. It's super easy to use. All you do is you download the free Game Time app, find an event you want to go see, select the Game Time Picks button, and then it automatically filters every single ticket that they have in their database to find you the best tickets at the best prices with the best seats with the best deals for you and your family, and it saves you a bunch of time and money. What I love about using the Game Time app is you get the lowest price guarantee on any ticket to any event, all-in pricing so you don't get slapped with the crazy fee at checkout, and flash deals so you can get even cheaper tickets the closer you wait to the event. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time today. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off that first purchase. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game Time. So before I start here, before I rattle off some of these names, a lot of these names are swing tackles, and a lot of these guys are backups right now. Okay, and a thing that you have to keep in mind when it comes to potentially getting somebody at the deadline that is an offensive tackle is that teams with 2 good starting tackles usually aren't shopping them, even if they're selling at the deadline, because they're usually foundational pieces for a rebuild. Okay, so I just don't think that offensive tackle is necessarily the best thing to need at the trade deadline. So if some of these names are some names that maybe you don't recognize or you think stink, it's because it's probably right to think that way. Okay, now we start with number 5, and we start with somebody that was taken in the top 10 of the NFL draft just a few short springs ago, and that's Evan Neal. Coming out of Alabama, a lot of people thought this guy was bust-proof coming out of the Crimson Tide. He's still only 24 years old. He still has great measurables, long arms, big body. He's tall, all these different things. But he was taken 7th overall by the New York Giants in 2022. But right now, he is their swing tackle behind Josh Ezeudu and Jermaine Illuminor. All right, when Andrew Thomas got hurt in New York this year, a lot of people thought, you'll move Jermaine over to the left side and, you put Evan Neal on the right, or even you put Evan Neal at the left side. They went with Josh Ezeudu over him. All right, so that just tells you where Evan Neal is in his development. And, my thinking on this is I would really not like it if they ended up getting Evan Neal because he's so similar to Broderick Jones. His technique is so not good, especially on the right side, where if you get him, I think that he pretty much becomes redundant with Broderick Jones's skill set because they're both extremely physically talented, but they both lack the refinement that you need out of a starting capable right tackle in the National Football League. So for me, I'm passing on Evan Neal, but because there's so limited options, I had to put him in my top 5. Then we get to Larryborm from the Chicago Bears. 22 starts in his NFL career in 4 years in the National Football League. This is his 4th year. And, he hasn't played at all this year. He's been their swing tackle, and the Bears have been pretty healthy at tackle. But he does have those 22 career starts, and he can play on both sides. He has a plethora of experience both at left and right tackle. He brings some pretty good size as well, 333 pounds. Now, you take a look at the career PFF grades. He doesn't have one for this year because he hasn't played. But last year was his worst grade at 48.0. He was not very good last year. Just ask Justin Fields. Then you go to the 2 years prior, he was okay, 64.7 in 2022, 61.4 in 2021. But if you are going to ask me if I have a high level of confidence in Larryborm to come in here and be a legit starting right tackle for the Steelers, my answer would have to be no. Then another guy that I don't have a ton of confidence in, but was really highly touted coming out of UNI a couple of years ago, Trevor Penning, current starting right tackle for the New Orleans Saints. Now, the Saints season is over. They're probably going to be selling at the deadline. He has been their starting right tackle in New Orleans this year. He moved over from the left side this past offseason. So he can theoretically play both sides. He has experience playing on both sides of the formation. He's kind of a dickhead, and I know that Pat Meyer kind of likes that, where he's looking for a fight. All right, he's pushing people around. He plays with a really great motor, but he runs too hot at times, and it leads to holding penalties and unnecessary roughness penalties. And he's very undisciplined as a player. You take a look at his PFF grades. In 2022, he showed some promise with a 73.6 on film. I thought he looked a little bit more refined than what he showed at the Senior Bowl that year and in his final year at UNI. But then the last 2 years, he's been very inconsistent. A 53.6 grade at left tackle last year, followed by a 56.6 grade so far this year. Not exactly what you want to see in terms of the trajectory for his NFL career. Number 2 on my list, Kendall Lamb, the current swing tackle for the Miami Dolphins. He's been a swing tackle in this league actually for a very long time. Kendall Lamb is a pro. Okay, he's 32 years old, so he is getting a little bit older. He is Miami's current swing tackle, so if Miami is looking to maybe unload a tackle, which is very possible, I think you can get a pretty decent price for Kendall Lamb. Also, he does have experience playing on both sides in his NFL career. He's played a lot of left and right. So if the Steelers want to bring him in and play right, and if there's an injury and he has to go play left, he's got that flexibility to do that if they want. Take a look at his career Pro Football Focus grades here. He's actually had the highest grade of his career this season with the Miami Dolphins with a 78.0. And over the last 3 seasons with the Dolphins, he's actually been pretty solid, all right? So if you're looking for somebody that maybe isn't going to be like a legit starting capable guy in the future, but you're just looking for somebody that can hold up and be a Band-Aid for this season, Kendall Lamb is certainly somebody you can throw a conditional 7th-round draft pick to do just that. But the only guy that I think is gettable at the offensive tackle position that is a legit starter at the right tackle spot is Taylor Moton out of Carolina. All right, 30 years old, so he's getting a little bit up there in age. He does have a pretty steep contract is what I'd say, but there's a lot of guarantees. The Steelers would be on the hook for about $15 million next year if they ended up trading for him. But he's very solid at right tackle, and he has been for a very long time. There's a reason why he is highly compensated, and you take a look at his numbers throughout his career. This is actually a down year for him so far with a 69.8 PFF grade, but every other year he's floating right around 70s or even mid-70s. The highest he ever got was an 81.6 back during the COVID year in 2020, but he's extremely solid. If the Steelers are looking for somebody to come in and be their right tackle, and he is a team captain for Carolina, by the way, so he's a great locker room guy. If you really want to go out and make a splash for a starting capable right tackle, not only for this season, but in future seasons, Moton's going to be the guy that you're going to go out and get. Now, what would be the price tag? I would offer a 6th-round pick is what I would offer the Carolina Panthers. Now, is it possible the Panthers want even more than that? Maybe, but they just did a 5th and 6th-round pick swap for Deontay Johnson, okay? And Taylor Moton is older, plays a lower value position. I think that a 6th-round pick is probably pretty fair for a team in the Carolina Panthers that's trying to get younger. They're embracing a rebuild. I think that, with the 30-year-old Moton still on their roster, if they can get a decent draft pick for him and get another shot at the lottery board here, I think they're going to take it. So let me know down there in the comments section, would you accept this trade to land Taylor Moton, the offensive tackle, with the Pittsburgh Steelers and replace Broderick Jones for good? Type A for accept or type D for decline. I would certainly have to think about it if this offer was on the table. Make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already. We got more videos just like this one, breaking down the latest news and rumors on the black and gold every single day. Make sure you click that subscribe button. Join our family. And until next time, here we go, Steelers.